This one, you said you're up for anything. I want to make sure this one has more of a sexual trauma kind of feel to it and a little more jarring, but I want to make sure you're okay with me
Okay.
going forward. Okay.
Yep.
All right. This person says, not much to it, but they say, I'm working through grief. Therapist told me I needed to get over it. That's the first part. I'll stop there. So that's the first part. This should be pretty pretty simple. Do you ever tell
Red
your
flag.
clients to get over it?
Red flag.
Red flag.
Red flag. Red flag. Run out of the building. Lord. I don't care what it is. If you tripped over, if you had a bad spray tan and it made you cry, dude, a therapist should never tell you to get over it. I don't care how seemingly little. It's not the Pain Olympics. Nobody's handing out medals here of who has it worse. Like, nah, that's shocking.
Now, okay, I'll add to this then. All right, let's mix it up a little bit here. So we wouldn't say get over it. That's ridiculous. But Heidi, if you're working with someone, let's say, who is having difficulties in discussing something with a parent or a spouse, or they can't get through to them, right? Is there ever a time where the message is not get over it, but the message is it's not going to work?
Yes.
Where it's
Absolutely.
very
Yeah.
blunt
Yes.
to the matter. Like, we've been going over this for like a week or two. It's not going to happen. You don't control them. They're not going to hear you. Would you
Yes.
feel comfortable with something like
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yes. The language I'll use more often is something like, dude, I just don't know if your mom has capacity.
Yeah.
I
There you go.
just
Totally.
don't know if your mom has capacity to hear that. Or your narcissistic dad, I don't know if he has enough reflective capacity to ever apologize. Like, kind of like, sometimes I say maybe we want to look at like grieving the parents I got versus the parents I wanted, and maybe there's some work there of the fantasy I have of how I want them to reply to me or whatever. That's what maybe get over it might look like. And then the other would be with parenting stuff, when parents say like just crazy expectations to me of like, my 2-year-old should apologize, or my 3-year-old shouldn't have a tantrum, or my teenager shouldn't lie to me, or,
Yeah.
that I'm just like, I'm sitting there like, oh man,
Yeah.
wow, that's never gonna happen. Like that kind of thing where they'll
Yeah.
say the only way they listen to me is if I yell. And that's maybe if you were, transcripting and recording every session, you might catch me saying in that kind of moment, they only listen when I yell, that I might say, dude, you're going to have to get over that way of thinking, because that is just not going to work
Well,
long
I
term.
think that the
That's
different,
where I might say it.
yeah, and the difference is getting over it is you're shutting it down. You're shutting down the conversation and putting the responsibility completely on the client, which in this case I don't think is appropriate. Whereas saying, they're not going to hear you, they're not going to get it, that's really, it's not shutting the conversation down. It's saying this, whatever you're doing is not going to work, but what else can we do? And that maybe that's grieving some sort of relationship, or maybe that's working out some other way of communication. It's like, this is not going to work, but that's opening up, like, we have to direct our attention elsewhere rather than saying, hey, get over
Yeah.
it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So that was that piece. They go on to say, I was told to watch 50 Shades of Grey as a band-aid for my sexual trauma. Your face. Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Is that not good advice?
Dude.
I'm sorry, I can't help.
That is insane. Isn't it horrifying sometimes when people tell you about past experiences? I always do that in a first session with clients. I always go like, is this your first time in therapy, or what's your past experience been like with therapy?
Right.
And it is 90% of the time, it's not good things that I'm hearing. And it's horrifying how many clinicians out there that are doing that kind of crap. Oh my God. How that could be so re-triggering and re-traumatizing and just like flooding, and oh my God. Okay.
Are you ready for it? Goes on.
Yep.
It
Oh,
gets
Lord.
worse. Are you up for it?
Okay. Yep.
All right, so I was told to watch 50 Shades of Grey as a band-aid for my sexual trauma. Same therapist also instructed me to masturbate, even though she knew all touch felt unsafe.
Oh my God. That makes me so sad.
Yeah, that's not even like worth any
Okay.
sarcastic laughter whatsoever. That's horrible.
No.
This is horrible. Like this
No.
is way
Yeah.
outside the realm of anything that I could
Yeah.
normalize in therapy.
Yeah, yeah. And that says to me, you're dealing with a clinician who knows nothing about trauma, who knows nothing about the nervous system, who knows nothing about trauma. And that I think is like such a key thing for people to take away from this conversation is if you have trauma in your background, which let's be honest, most of us have some kind of trauma in our background. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be reading the bio of the person you're going to see or like checking out their website or talking to the receptionist or whatever to find out if they have a clear understanding of trauma. And even in the first session, I would be asking them, what put them on the spot. What's your understanding of trauma? Who informs your work? And if they're saying, like I want to see a trauma clinician who busts out names like Gabor Mate, Peter Levine, Bessel van der Kolk, Bruce Perry. I want Pat Ogden. I want people to be saying, like they are informed. They know what they're talking about rather than just, I, eesh, man, that's horrifying.
I can't think of when this would be remotely appropriate. And like I'm really like I
Mm-mm,
try to say, hey, this is what the normal thing would look like. Here's outside of the norm. I can't even like get close to. So
mm-mm.
therapy clients, people who are in therapy listening to this, if this is happening, that's not even close to therapy. What's the problem here? Obviously, it's the advice is just well, I don't know what the right word is, but it's wrong. But part of this is advice giving again. I mean, just on the basic level of advice giving, no, we don't know the answers. We know what can help. Maybe we know we can maybe catch people's black and white thinking, extreme thinking. We can catch when little shifts happen in their nervous system, and that's fine. We can do that. But do we know the answers to how to fix their problems? Not exactly. No. So yeah,
I always say you're the expert on you. And
right.
then to parents, I always say you're the expert on your kid. I know a little bit about psychology, I know a little bit about parenting, but you're the expert on your kid and you're the expert on you.
So we don't know like you said, we don't know the right answer for anybody. But being
Mm-mm.
told to watch a movie is not a therapeutic intervention. That's just like anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. I could recommend a movie to you.
Totally.
That's not
Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah.
That's not even close. Like I hope someone didn't pay for that.
Yeah. No.
Now, uh, so there was someone else who had written me just another one liner along the same vein saying I was recommended a movie to watch which ended up making me feel worse about losing my dad. This is not
Mm.
therapy. Like watching a movie is not therapy. Okay? Advice giving is not therapy.
Mm-mm. 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 The only time when I think I when it, if the conversation about watching movies has come up, it would have been because I'm just thinking about this recently. Gabor Mate's recent one that came out, The Wisdom of Trauma, that he did in I think June and again in October. That and people saying, "Have you heard about it?" And I said, "Yes, I've watched
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Highly
yeah, yeah.
recommend it."
Yeah.
That would be the only time that I
There you
can
go.
think of saying like, yeah, or someone who's sort of new to understanding their trauma and, asking, "Is there anything I could watch or read?" And then I'll go, "Yeah, this is good." But I think to like process a dad's death or something like that, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting one. I don't know how telling someone to watch a movie because I think that's one thing I'm always mindful of is this like when I first found your Instagram and telling clients about if you want to understand polyvagal more, check out Justin's Instagram and his podcasts and stuff. You can learn a lot. Like for people who are keen to learn more about it,
Yeah.
it's so great to just dive in. That's where recommendations I think I would give to people is like stuff that supports their therapeutic understanding, but this one sounds like I think too you got to be mindful of like am I dropping someone off into a village that's like where their trauma comes alive? Like if you have a clown phobia, I'm not going to tell you to go watch it, like
Right.
So it's like, I think you got to be
Mm,
thinking again, that whole what's my motive, what's my intention of recommending this to someone.
yeah.
And then again, for clients, I think push back and ask, oh, why? What's the premise? Is it possible that that could be flooding for me? Is it possible that that could be re-traumatizing for me? Like,
I don't think there's nothing else to add. That was, I mean, but that's what, just to like sum up like what you just said, well within the normal range of resources, not healing movies, but resources to learn and build that
yeah,
foundational knowledge that we can then use in therapy or
yeah,
build off of to normalize and build a new narrative and all that.
yeah,
Way
yeah,
different than, hey, watch this, it'll make you feel better.
yeah, totally.
Okay.
If it was that simple, we wouldn't have jobs. If it was just about like, go watch this and like listen to that and like, boom, you know, it's like a
You're right.
dude. Someone said to me the other day that their last psychologist told them, just don't worry about it.
Oh my
You
God.
just got to stop worrying about work and stop being so stressed about work. And you just got to really be present. And, you know, I was just like, oh, I'm cured. You know, like that's all you got to do is just don't worry about it. And it's like, and that's what I said. I was like, dude, if that was the case, I wouldn't have a job. Like, it's not that simple. Not that simple.
No, it's not. No.